Hi everyone, I'm Reverend Stephanie Butler Adams, and this is Sisters on Sacred Grounds, where we use affirmations, music, and coffee to create a dialogue which addresses an array of real-life issues, emotions, expressions, and experiences that only our music and its lyrics bring about, specifically in women, relationally, culturally, and spiritually, across both sacred and secular genres. Sisters on Sacred Grounds. In this episode, Joan Phillips-Bennett tells her story of being an independent music artist, filmmaker, and educator with a passion for children with special needs. Be inspired by the resilience of her journey as a millennial entrepreneur, wife, and mother of two who dreams of a better Jamaica. And she's making moves to manifest it, right here on Sisters on Sacred Grounds. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Sisters on Sacred Grounds. I'm your host, Reverend Stephanie Butler Adams, and listen, I'm so excited about today's episode. We have been featuring women from all walks of life in a series called HerStory. Her story, right? And so today is no different. Today, we have a phenomenal woman with us, Jamaican born. You know her as Joan Phillips-Bennett, aka Adenima. Joan Phillips-Bennett, a wife and mother of two, is a classic example of what we call multifaceted. She has a background in music, liturgical dance, film, and education. She's presently completing a second master's degree at the Mico University College in Jamaica with a focus on special education. Her passion and advocacy for differently abled children was birthed when her first child was diagnosed with global developmental delay and autism spectrum disorder. She's been hosting online seminars as support for parents and educators focused on special needs kids. Joan intends to start her own institution, adding to her dream of seeing more inclusive classrooms throughout Jamaica. Welcome, Joan. How are you?
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be with you today.
You look beautiful. I love that pop of color around your neck. That's
Yes,
right.
darling. Yes, darling. And you look fabulous yourself. Fabulous.
Well, you know what? Although I wish I was there with you in Jamaica, or I wish you were here with me in California. The distance does not separate us from the love. You know what I'm saying? Distance does not separate us from the love. You know, Joan, I've been knowing you for many years now, and I thought about it when I said, oh my goodness, I watched this young woman grow up right in front of me. I mean, you guys, does she look like she's like 15 or 16? She's a big woman, as you say, right? She's a grown woman. But Joan, you have been the absolute manifestation of multifaceted. You really, really have. I want to just get right into this conversation because, you know, this is about you. And I want the world to know all of this gift and talent and skill in this little package. Powerful. It's powerful. So, first of all, I want to talk about you as a wife, right? A mother of two kids. You're an educator. You're a mentor to many. Joan, how do you balance all these things?
Ooh, child. Oh, my Lord. I guess I don't look at it as balance. I remember hearing someone say that if you put energy into one thing, less energy goes into something else. So my thing is I try my best to give energy, just like how we eat, it's proportioned enough so that nothing is neglected. No one is neglected. Your business is not neglected. So I just try my best. I just try my best. So,
Well, you are doing an excellent job, Joan. And you know, when I think of you, I think of one word: bold. I think of you as a bold, young adult. Now, full disclosure, y'all, we used to attend the same church when I was living there in Kingston, and Joan was a part of my liturgical dance ministry. That's how we met. And the friendship and the sisterhood has developed over the years, even now. I think of the boldness that I watched in you as a young adult, just getting up and belting out a song, singing in the choir. Did you always want to sing? Did you always know you could sing?
I always loved and still do. I just love arts. And I think my introduction to the arts was drama and music. So from early on in school, from a tender age, I was writing songs. And I also acted. So I used to do, be a part of plays and little productions. So that was my beginning in the arts.
Well, I know that singing is definitely a gift. I believe it's a gift from God. And I know you can cultivate it, but some people just have the it. That it factor. And when you talked about the energy that you give to certain things and don't give to other things, when we watch you perform, your energy is all there. What are some things that are going through your mind when you're on stage?
On stage. Is my note right? Did I hit it? I initially, before going on stage, I always center myself and I focus on the message. I focus on the purpose, and I go out there and just sing. Just sing. And for me, because it's a full show, I'm still learning to not direct while on stage. So I have that tendency to be like, yeah. All right. But when singing, I only focus on the song. That's my main focus, just getting that message across.
And you mentioned about, your songwriting. You were writing songs when you were young. Now, how did that gift cultivate? And because as a writer myself, I know it's easy. It comes easy to write about topics that we know about. But when you're talking about writing a song, do you think about the lyrics, the melody, how you want it to sit? Tell us, what's your process in that?
My process in songwriting, it always starts with the words. And sometimes it may start with the melody. Sometimes I'll hear a melody like and I'll just hold on to it. And you may not get the words immediately, but probably a week after you'll be like, oh, this can go. Yeah, soul sisters on sacred grounds. Ah. So it varies, and it just depends on how you feel. Sometimes you're by yourself and you get that message, or you may be in a crowd and you see something and you write about it, and then you try to put it. For me, it's poetry and melody together.
Wow. So this is your process, poetry and melody, and just hearing it, and that alone time. So that means that you've got to spend some quiet time so that things can bubble up in you. Now, I mean, I know you to be a very strong believer. I know you're a Christian woman, but I also know that you navigate sacred and secular spaces. You talked about energy. Once again, that energy, that good vibes, that positivity. Now, how have you been able to, from the time that you were young, from, your studies at Edna Manley to your travels around the globe, honey, not around Jamaica, around the globe. How have you been able to navigate the sacred and secular spaces and still maintain your faith?
For me, it's a strong foundation. I have always been surrounded with persons who have a strong integrity. It's very important to surround yourself with people who have the same belief, people who build you up, people who strengthen you. And for me, I had mentors in my life. My mentor was you. My mentor would be my pastor. My mentor would be my parents, and I never wavered. Some persons may be like, oh, I just wish I could do that. I always thought, like when I was younger, I thought I was weird because I never wanted those things. I was like, then why does everybody want to just do that? But for me, looking back, it's a strong foundation. And when you have that strong foundation, you don't have any want for the other side. So for me, in the secular arena, for me, I always focused on the positive. I've always focused on things that I would not be ashamed of singing. I would not be ashamed of saying out loud because it's something empowering for other persons. And that's who I want to be in other people's lives.
Wow. That
Yeah.
that right there is so important. I always say, if I was as strong of a Christian when I first started dancing professionally as I am now, I'd be a whole different type of dancer. And I mean a better dancer, because a lot of us as artists, when we know that we believe in God, we believe in Jesus, we are Christians, or we have that faith, whatever your faith walk is, for us as believers, we think we have to hide it. A lot of times we think we have to, well, don't say that, and don't do that, and don't even act like but I mean, as you said, that foundation, Joan, that had to have carried you through some difficult times.
Oh yes, and sometimes things may happen in your life. As I say, life happens. You may get hit by something emotionally, and that will stick with you. It doesn't come up when you're having a good time. It comes up when you're having those moments where you're really on a low path. Though I feel like I feel like to throw in the towel, I still my faith won't be wavering. I'm still there, and I'm saying I can't give up. You will never be on 0%. You may be on 1, but it won't go as far as 0. You'll still go back up to 2, 3, and then right back up.
Yes, yes. I mean, oh my gosh, people, if you knew this woman, right, you would know she's speaking truth to you, and she's walking it like she talks it. Okay, for real. I have seen you. I don't think I've ever experienced you stay in a valley for a long time. You mentioned things that happen, life happens, here you are going through your studies, I would ask you to tell us your love story, but that might take a while. You meet your husband and you're getting married and all these things and da 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 da. And then you have the great news that I'm going to have a baby. But you had some challenges. And I wonder if you would share with us not just the challenge, but how you overcame it and how you turned that challenge into a passion.
Yes. My first child, my daughter, 6 years ago, I had a bubbling, wonderful, beautiful girl inside. And on the I remember we were, going for a regular checkup, and my doctor said, "Oh, there's a little distress here. I'm not feeling the heartbeat." And I had to go straight to the hospital. for an emergency cesarean. And it was weeks after we realized that she had some delays, and we got her assessed because she had some weakness happening and all of these things. And when we got her assessed, we realized that we found out that she was on the spectrum. So she had autism spectrum disorder. So it it took a little turn, of course, because as a mother, nobody expects to have a child who's differently abled, right? We don't say disability, but we don't expect to have a child who is differently abled. And for us, it's not a matter of condemnation, but it was a shocker. It's like, what are we gonna do? Because the first thing you're thinking is that, how are we gonna ensure that she lives a life, just like us, a typical life, just like everybody else? That's your main aim. And it was challenging, and we are still going through, taking her to therapy sessions and all of these things. But as you see the little improvements from day to day, it brings such joy because you know how far she's coming from. I'm so proud of her. Today she went to school and the teacher was like, wow, she did everything today. I was like, yes, like, that's my girl. But it takes a lot of emotional strength when you are a parent, or even related to someone who has a child with different needs. It takes a lot of emotional strength and physical strength too, because it can take a toll on you, and you need that support as a parent or as a family member. You need that support. And it's not only children. You may have someone who's elderly, who's wheelchair bound. It's still having special needs. And because of that, I decided to have a webinar each quarter to support parents and teachers and persons who have persons with special needs. And I went to school. Like, I did my master's already in business. And I was like, well, I want to help her. I want to be able to help her. And in Jamaica, there is not as much resources as, say, another country that may have more to pull from. So there are not many schools that may cater to children with special needs. So I wanted to be able to help her. So even if I had to homeschool her for a period, whatever the case is, I went back to school. And I did a master's in special education just for her.
Oh my God, Joan, that is amazing. You know how many parents would have just given up? You know how many parents would have not wanted to keep the child and would have wanted to abort, or even once the child was born would have said, you know what, I might have to. But not only did you press through it, but you turned the whole situation upside down. What a blessing. You got your degree in special education to help your daughter. Girl, that's inspiring. That is so inspiring. And I hope that inspires some of you sisters that might be watching. Don't give up. Don't give up. Joan, you know already. I mean, because you're working, you're in school, and you're trying to raise a special needs child. And I bet you sang to her a lot.
I remember the first time she started kicking really and moving around, because when we were doing the ultrasound, we couldn't get a picture. She was doing cartwheels and all these things. I'm like, stay still. Stay still. They're like, it's your fault. You're the dancer. Oh, yes.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because we know that you're an awesome singer. Now, I said multifaceted, but you're a producer. Tell us about this event. I know before COVID, you were doing it annually. Tell us about your annual production and how that got started. What was your impetus for doing that? And who inspires you artistically, whether it's through music or drama or dance, all of that, Joan, all the things.
Who inspires me artistically? Okay. I grew up listening to Bob Marley. I grew up listening to Stevie Wonder. And I grew up watching Michael Jackson. Right? So, of course, a lot of persons don't consider Michael a singer, but if you listen to some of his songs, he can sing. But when you talk about an all-rounder, Michael Jackson is it. So I grew up watching artists like Michael Jackson, Prince, and all these different well, in my case, in my mind, multifaceted too, because they are what we call the triple threat, the Ushers and the Beyoncés, So I've always admired that, because I've always thought that instead of just standing on a stage and just singing or saying something, it's a full production. It's an experience. I love that. So I try to have that when I perform as well. So I'll have a costume change happening here. I'll have dancers here, all of the whole works. So I really enjoy that. And then because of that, no, I went to Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, and I was blessed to be given a scholarship. And because of that, I wanted to be able to do the same thing. I got the grant, but I said, I wish I could do that for other persons. And I'm not a millionaire yet. But
Yes, that's right.
but I started putting on the shows and asking for sponsors, to chime in and use the funds to bless other persons. So we'd have grants to give students from the Edna Manley College, and then we were able to spread and open or enlarge our territory to other schools, like Excelsior Community College and other places, culinary arts, any form of arts we would give to assist students financially.
Wow, Joan, that is amazing. So you took that passion and those who inspired you, and you mentioned, the artists you mentioned, they're all phenomenal, of course. But it's the difference between just being a singer or a dancer versus an entertainer, the full package. And we can get a little stuffy and stushy in the Christian circles, because we don't want people to say that we're entertaining them. We don't want people to say that we're performing for them. We always want to say, no, it's ministry. But every aspect of ministry has an element of performance. We just may call it performance ministry. So let's just call a thing. So I love the fact that you were bold enough to utilize what you were seeing, what was inspiring you, from the Bob Marleys to the Princes and Michael Jacksons and whoever, and make it Joan, because when we see you perform, we see Joan. You may have influences, but we hear Joan. We hear your original music, and talk to us about how your Jamaican roots, have influenced your artistry.
Well, for me, it's just who I am, just staying true to you, which is the whole point of being unique. Because I am Jamaican first. And the Jamaica is so rich and diverse, and all our creativity stems from our experiences. So that's basically it, just staying true to who I am, staying true to where I'm from, and never giving that up for something else. That's really what it is for me. The culture is a blessing because, our music can't copy it. I'm just saying.
I'm agreeing with you, okay? I'm agreeing. And having lived there for so many years, I love Jamaica. I love the
Oh,
people, I love the culture, I love the food, I love it all. But I have to say that everywhere I have traveled in the world, and I mean internationally and nationally, there's some thread of Jamaica running through there. You
oh yeah.
always find a little bit of something Jamaican, and if you know it, you catch it. You hear it, you're like, whoa, whether it's fashion, the style, of course, the music, but then just the attitude.
That is one thing that you definitely listen. I remember I went to the airport. I was heading to, I think I was coming to Dancer and Me. I was coming to California to see you. Yes. And I kid you not, we could just look at the at the attendant. We're like, where are you from? I'm from Jamaica. I'm like, I could tell. You didn't have to say anything. I could just tell. There's just this personality. There's just this vibe that they give, this swag that they have. I'm like, he's Jamaican. Oh, yep. And because many of us were Jamaican on that flight, they put on some Berry's ham, and I was like, yeah, everybody's like, yeah.
It's always a good time. I mean,
Always.
and one thing I can say about you and my Jamaican brothers and sisters in general is that even the toughest on the outside, even the toughest, roughest, Jamaican have this sweet soft spot inside of them. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
they have something inside, like you said, it's just who you are. And
Yes.
nobody could ever convince me of anything differently, so I
Yep.
really appreciate that, because as you know, I owe Jamaica a lot. I learned a lot.
Yes.
I
And
learned
that
a lot.
that we have. A lot of times when persons visit Jamaica, they always leave saying, no problem, man. I mean, we really don't always say that, just to let everybody know, but
Please.
they, we don't walk around saying no problem, man. We don't do that. But the important thing about that phrase is it really sums up our personalities, or our who we are, because we really don't stress over things that much. Everybody will have a fit about certain things happening. We're just like, okay, just wait till tomorrow. Something may happen differently. We're not that fussy.
I love it. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that about you. I think that in you explaining, it's just who you are. It comes through your artistry, it comes through how you live, it comes through how you communicate with people. It's evident, right? So let's talk about now the dance piece. How did you become a dancer? I mean, when did you know that you had this gift of dance in you?
Well, Rev, I'm gonna say I started in the secular world. I mean, in high school, I think it really started in high school, because I was more in music and drama, as I said before. But when I went to high school, we used to, copy the Usher choreography, and the Destiny's Child choreography, and the Michael Jackson. So we always try to get in and say, oh, I know that one. Or get like the walk from, Snoop Dogg or Bow Wow. You see? Yeah, I know my stuff. But I think because of that exposure, I was bitten by the choreography bug, because understanding these different moves and learning more repertoire, I was able to have vocabulary, movement
Yes.
going on. So when I hear something that is completely new, that has no movement to it, nothing to look and say, oh, that's how it goes, I could now put moves together. And then from that, I would choreograph for the church ministry. So we didn't have a dance ministry at our church, and we started one. So I was like around 11 years old choreographing for the church, dance ministries. And we would travel across the country doing dances, just ministering. And they were like, yeah, because it was always the up-tempo things. The first one I choreographed was Shackles by Mary Mary. That was like, we were on tour. I was like, what?
Showstopper.
Yes.
Okay, that was the show.
Listen.
Stopper.
And then from there, we met you. I remember when they announced that you were starting the pilot program at our church, I was like, I'm going to be the first one signing up, because we never learned technique. We never learned, formally learn movement. So I wanted to capitalize on that opportunity quick. So, and that's how we met you. So I was honored. I was just like, yes, I'm soaking up everything, because you taught us that in ministry, just like what we see in the secular world, where they practice and they get it right, there is a sense of excellence. There's a spirit of excellence that you have to ensure is in your ministry. So it's not about, oh, I dance because I like to. Okay, what else? Because if everybody does it because they like it, then I'm pretty sure the dances won't be as nice as you think the secular ones are, because they actually study.
That's what I want to know, Joan. From your perspective, you're a millennial, but you've been in this thing for a long time. You are in the entertainment industry. What do you think about what's coming out now? From the music, to the entertainers, to who's popular now. But what do you really, what do you see? Strengths, weaknesses. What's your take on 2022 entertainment?
2022 entertainment. For me, of course, as a performer, I would say it may be watered down. However, I still think it's in a phase. I think everything goes in cycles, because when we were younger, I can bet you persons before us would think that what we were doing were watered down too. So I really think it's just a cycle, because music now is more like phrases. So it's just like, oh, yeah, what? Yeah, and that's like number one for weeks. And I'm like, what did he say though? In it, what? Huh? Woo, yeah, woo, woo. And the movement now, because of social media, your movements are like, yeah, you got 15 million views and this is all you did. But it's a phase, because in probably another year or two, that's going to be phased out. Because now I remember looking at one of the social media platforms, not giving any free ads, one of the social media platforms, and they had real dancer versus social media dancer. And when I saw that, I'm like, ooh, persons are really getting this now. So now they are really separating technique from just doing this for likes. And I'm like, that's refreshing, because now persons are really looking to challenge a real dancer. So now you know that there's more effort that needs to be put into doing real movement. So it's just a phase, it's just a phase. It's a cycle.
Yeah. I love what you're saying, because effort has to be put into your songwriting, I believe, I mean, if you want it to be good, I mean, if you think about some of the classics, some of the stuff, some of your favorite songs, that you just be like, wow, it has some depth to it. It was a story. It wasn't just these phrases that were repeated to a great beat. Now, I love me some good rhythm, and I love me some, come on with the Afro beats and come on with all of that. But then there is the quality, the quality of what we're putting out now as artists. What would you tell some of these up and coming, I won't say younger folks, but who talk to the young folks out there. Give the one who is singing and they think they have to sound like whomever, Mary J, or whomever the artist is. What would you tell these artists coming up now?
I would say learn about you first. A lot of times we would say, all right, just study the genres and all of that. Of course you should. I mean, I went to music school. That's what we did for 5 years. We studied everything, world music, Latino, everything. But I would say know yourself first. I mean, we are living in a time where everyone was separated or isolated, so to speak. The pandemic really pulled you away from everything. So you are forced to look in the mirror and know who you are. If you don't know who you are, when you study other music or when you see other persons doing things, you are compelled to be like them or be them. And when you can't, then you will become disappointed in yourself and feel like a failure when that's not the case, because that's not your purpose. Right? So know yourself first. What type of artist do I want to be? Then you research around that. If you are not going to be the one chasing the clout, or you don't want to be the artist who's selling everything on your person, you know that when you're researching your music, you're not looking to listen to the one who is doing that. You're trying to find the mentor in your music lane. The mentor in your music lane is the person who speaks to your purpose. That's all it is. So I would say, if you are, learning your craft and all of that, make sure you know who you are as an artist, who you want to be to your fans, to the world. Because you have a greater impact even than parents in their own homes. And a lot of times I hear entertainers and performers say, oh, well, that's not my job. The parents should do this. But at the same time, you are so influential. You have to know what you're saying to these children and know what you're saying to people. I've seen and heard persons become depressed because they listen to a song. That's how powerful music is. I remember my lecturer saying to me in college, music to me is the highest art form because it's the only art form you can't touch. You can't see it, but when you feel it, it compels you to do something. That's how powerful you are as a musician or anything that involves music. So you better know what you're doing.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And, as you're speaking, it's almost like, those of you who are watching, who are in the arts, who are artists, who are trying to figure out, who am I? Who am I in this thing? What is my style? It so much transfers over to every area of your life, because it dictates, who am I as a woman? Who am I as a Black woman? Who am I as a Jamaican? Who am I as a mom? Who am I as a wife? Who am I as a friend? You know, who am I in business? Who do I show up as in that space? And so when you are talking about your purpose and knowing that you don't have to be an imitation of anyone else, I mean, you know, just letting young people know that, and maybe some not so young people who are still acting like somebody they're not, you know? I think this is fabulous, Joan. You are dropping wisdom today, honey. Dropping the wisdom all day long. And on that note, yes, we should have a little coffee here at Sisters on Sacred Grounds. We do love our coffee. Now, I really do miss the Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. Somebody send me some. Okay, send me some.
We're gonna hook you up. We're gonna hook you up. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna hook you up.
This has been such a wonderful conversation, Joan. Oh my gosh. So, who are you? Who do you want to be to the world, Joan, as entertainer? Talk to us about your alias, Adenima. And so when people look for you and look for your music, how do they find you? What mark do you want to leave, you know, in artistry? What do you want us to know you as?
Adenima, I searched and searched for a name of purpose, and when I put those two together, it basically means blessed and well known. Blessed and well known. I want to be someone who leaves marks of purpose in people's lives. I want to be someone who empowers people. You know, I want to be someone who, from my experiences, they learn. So they get a head start to not go in the same road if I had to do a turnaround in whatever experience that is, you know? So that's who I want to be to persons who listen to my music, who watch my films, who read my books. Just hinting at all these different things. It's just a blessing to be a blessing. You know, that's what we really are. We're blessed to be a blessing to other people, because the truth is we are who we are because of the people who have dropped gems in our lives. And we can't receive those gems and just go away. We have to pass on some gems to other persons, you know, and we are strengthened and we are empowered because for me, I feel a sense of fulfillment. I feel great joy when I can look at the growth of someone else because I was willing to say, hey, you know, you can do this, you know, because persons really need that, especially now. Yeah. You know?
Absolutely, Joan. I don't want to forget, you mentioned books. You have a book coming out. Tell us about your book and when can we get it?
All right. So the book will be officially ready at the end of this month. And it is specific to our time now. So I had two that I was working on. So I was working on one called After the Silence. I was working on one called Where Do I Start? Right? So I wanted to really touch on social media and how young people are not able to find themselves because they're bombarded with images and videos and hashtags that leave them wondering who they are. Right? So at the end of this month, that book will be released, and my aim is to ensure that it empowers our young people because they are the future, and we can't have a wavering future. We need strong foundation for them.
Yes. I think that is so wonderful. Now tell us how we can find your music. What are your social media handles if we want to follow you? Tell us how do we stay in connection, stay connected to Joan Adenima?
So on all social media platforms, well, right now I am on Facebook, I am on Twitter, I am on Instagram, I am on TikTok. That's about it. And all of them, it's Adenima the Truth. At Adenima the Truth on all social media platforms.
Adenima the Truth. Okay? Yeah. Adenima the Truth. That's how you can follow the one and only Joan Phillips-Bennett. Joan, here at Sisters on Sacred Grounds, we believe in affirmations and affirming one another as human beings, but also as sisters. And, usually I would speak some affirmations, but since I have a singer in the house, I wonder if you would be so kind as to just sing a little bit of affirming words to those who might be watching tonight, might be going through whatever they're going through. Anything that you would like to share, just a little bit of it to affirm our sisters.
Well, let's do something on spot then. All right. I am me. I am me. I am strong. I am free. I am me. I am who God wants me to be. I open my eyes and I see who God wants me to be. I am powerful. I am strong. I am the leader of my kingdom. I am passion. I am me. I am who God wants me to be. You are strong. You are strong. You are strong.
I tried. Yes, you did more than try. You nailed it. Wow. Affirming my sisters. Joan said, I am me. I am who God wants me to be. And that is the best thing that we can say to you. Joan, you've been a joy to listen to glean from today, telling your story. There's so much more to the story, but we can't tell it all. But we know how to find you. We're going to be watching out for that book to drop, listening out for more of your beautiful original music, and just really cheering you on. The world awaits you, and the sky is the limit. So thank you for not just your artistry, but thank you for your heart. Thank you for your humility. Thank you for your love for children and special needs children, and your commitment, my goodness, to gain knowledge so that you can turn situations around. So we thank you and we bless you and your family. And we want you to come back to Sisters on Sacred Grounds soon and very soon, hopefully in person. All right.
Oh, yes. Be a joy.
Hopefully in person. But listen, and thank you all for watching this very special episode of Sisters on Sacred Grounds, Her Story, featuring Joan Phillips-Bennett. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, Sisters on Sacred Grounds. We love you. We want you to stay well, stay beautiful, and be safe out there. Love you. Bye.